today we're really pleased to have our Dan Nelson back at the topic, how the current and future cultural impact of the Internet. I'll turn it to you, Dan.
Great. Okay, thanks. Thanks everybody for coming. This is great. This topic is about Internet, and that might seem, kind of non-spiritual at first glance, but I believe the Internet is a very important spiritual force, a spiritual tool that's emerged as part of an unraveling stage of awakening, part of the divine plan in itself. And there's been a lot of predictions in the past of this force that would connect us all together so that we would see that we are one. And so the Internet, it seems to be that tool that is manifested, that we've created, that was inevitable. Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about that, and I'm going to show a slideshow, and I've got these handouts, kind of it's a theme of all the different stages of how we've come about with the Internet, and what the Internet offers us, and some perspectives and reflections on how it's affected our culture, what it was like in the past, what it's like now. So I'm going to give you guys these little handouts, and what it is just the slideshow I'm about to show you that I kind of like just threw together. It's kind of great when you just throw stuff together, and it seems to work, so it's good. And so there's actually two sheets. So I'm just going to pass it around. So just grab the top two sheets, because there's like 24 slides in the presentation. Yeah. Let's turn on the projector here. So I find it really, really awesome to have the projector, because we can show videos and audio, and this multimedia thing, people really seem to gel with this whole visual thing. It's pretty amazing how this kind of distracts you, because if it's just talk, it's not integrating fully. But if you have a visual up here, it doesn't even matter if it's related. People seem to like that, I notice. Because I think we're just visual people. So I called it Internet Current and Future Cultural Impact. And that's the best topic I could come up with, but I have a kind of a subtopic, which is reflection on Internet technology as a tool for awakening. So that's kind of the theme that I'm trying to put out here. So here's a good quote from this channel, Bashar. I don't know if anybody's heard of Bashar. I really gel with a lot of the channel material. I couldn't find the video, because if I did, I would show it. It's really cool. But there's this guy, Daryl Anka, he's the channel, and the entity that comes through is Bashar. So I was watching this video, and Bashar said, any truly good tool will eventually render itself obsolete. And I was like, wow, that really makes sense. Because why would we want to become dependent on anything external as far as helping us, evolve, if that's our purpose, and that is our purpose. So any tool that we have in our society is there to help us progress. And I think the Internet is just another tool. So I want to talk about different things that have influenced our society. And so if we look in the past, we can see the first language. Now, I don't necessarily agree with all this stuff, because our history is a lot different than this normal regurgitated reality we learn about in school. because there's a lot more stuff coming forward about the past, and that's a whole other subject, of course. But this is the consensus reality. So the first language was about 10,500 BC. So that was the first recorded evidence of language. So language is a tool, and I'm sure we had language before that, but these are some general definitions. So the first writing that appeared was from 3,115 BC. And of course, that's the consensus, and I think writing was far, far before that, according to a lot of Vedic information. So some of the Hindu beliefs, some of the texts are actually 12,000 years old. So that's debatable. But what we're talking about here is just, the idea is just the tools that have helped our society evolve. So the first currency was about 2000 BC. Buddha consciousness, and I'm talking about technologies. So I don't think that technology is necessarily anything to do with mechanical or electronic. I believe that spiritual ideas are also tools, technologies. So I don't really put that in a separate category. So we have Buddha consciousness, 500 BC, birth of Jesus, pretty profound steps to our awakening. The invention of the printing press, 1450 AD. The invention of the steam engine, 1755. So this is the beginning of machines that can give us energy. So it doesn't have to be all brute force. Steam locomotive, 1815. One of the amazing things that I just have to mention is the Mayan calendar. There's interpretations of the Mayan calendar that talk about the 9 stages of evolution. So they predicted that there's these 9 very important steps in evolutionary consciousness. And after the very last, or the 9th stage, when that ends, there's different predictions, but it comes around December 21st, 2012, around that time. So of course there's so many things that point to that time as being the new world. So what I'm getting at here is all of these things that I'm mentioning fit in a very exact way with the Mayan calendars. I don't know if anybody knows this about the 9 steps of the Mayan calendar. Okay, so you've got level 1, which is kind of like biological level, level 2, mammalian. So there's all these different levels of awakening, but in each level, the first level is the longest, which is 16.4 billion years. And these levels exponentially increase. So each level that we progress spiritually, the awakening process becomes exponential. And so all of the pyramids in Mexico, in that area of the Maya, have nine steps that represent the 9 stages of consciousness. And of course, at the top is the star, the center point, the Stargate, the Jacob's Ladder, or whatever you want to call that, representing the awakening. So I have to say, each of these dates aligns perfectly with the calendar. So each step has these ups and downs. Now I can't remember if it's 6 days and 6 nights, but I think it's 7 days fit into each of the levels. But the day means cycle, just like in the Bible when they say, day, it means cycle. So at the epitome, the high point of the day in each of the cycles, if you match up the dates, they line exactly up with these inventions, which is just startling when you actually look at it. It's beyond coincidence, so that's something worth taking note. Now, when we move into the newer stages of consciousness, here's other technologies that have advanced society, and they happen more and more frequently with a higher rate of frequency. So the telegraph, 1837, the first time we can transmit information without, a passenger pigeon and stuff. Automobile radio programs, 1920, so now we're starting to send information across to many people at once. Of course, there was a newspaper before that, but this is more or less instantaneous communication. And then the World Wide Web. Really, that was born in 1990. The internet started before that, but there was many other sub-World Wide Web technologies that made up the internet. But the World Wide Web is the biggest. The IT revolution, they figured it around 1999 when there was just this big, massive technological progress as far as the internet's concerned. And then the turn of the century, we get the smartphone. A lot of people think of the iPhone, the iPod, DVDs, digital cameras, the iPad, social networking, voice recognition, voice interaction. So these are some technologies that have affected our society, and we haven't even seen the way this is going to really affect because it's so new. But there are certainly very important events that have taken place because of this technology, as far as collective awakening. And I'll talk about some of those. So there's a lot of internet prophecies that have happened in the past that people talk about. You can go on the internet and find some of these. Now the Hopi elders, this may or may not fit in, but I think it was the fifth sign, and I don't remember the sign if anybody else knows. I can't remember specifically, but there's these different steps that say it's a signatory that the world is going through a great shift. And one of them is that the world becomes connected by a spider web. And I think of that as the internet. And then I remember Chief Seattle, back in the 1800s, he talked about soon, in their prophecy, soon the world will be filled with these talking wires, which is like the telephone system and the internet. Arthur C. Clarke, I've got a video where he talks about the internet. He said there's going to be this thing that connects us all and sends information, like it was inevitable that was going to happen. That was before it even happened. So there was a lot of visionaries who could see this was inevitable, that our spiritual progression as a society would require, or what would come out of it is the interconnected technology. So a lot of people could see this, a lot of visionary people could. And the ancient Mayan calendar, now I don't know what level this is, but the interpretation is that the Mayan calendar predict the emergence of an accelerated global awareness. They call that the galactic level, which also signified the time. One interpretation was that the global elite will fall, Big Brother will lose its power. So this is one of the other things that we can see from the internet, is that old systems of control don't work so well because now people have direct access to information instead of being filtered through some corporate political agenda initiative or whatever.
So you now have, must have,
Okay,
with the curriculum.
I'm going to play this
Once
video
you
here.
have
This is
outline.